This presentation is about how to avoid perpetuating the digital divide in the classroom. So what is the digital divide? It's the gap of technological access, knowledge and skills between groups of students which are commonly aligned to socio-economic backgrounds. Put simply, low socio-economic students are further disadvantaged by the lack of digital opportunities at home and at school. Investment in education is a priority in Australia, and it is linked specifically to investing in our future economy. The 21st century learning skills that are required are things like critical thinking and critical evaluation. This is specifically important for evaluating digital text and visual media that we see online. Innovative thinking. We need students that will think of new ideas and create new things. Effective communication skills and problem solvers. We also need scientific and mathematical thinking. We also need future employees that will make links across different fields. It's not okay to just, or it's not enough now to just be a specialist in one area. We need to be able to integrate our knowledge throughout different fields of study, and that would require lifelong learning, and we need to increase the lifelong learning skills of all students. The digital education revolution was created for this, was to specifically ensure that Australia's future economy is competitive and stable. So the main part of digital education revolution is to ensure that students have access to computers and that they promote teacher digital pedagogical practice. Part of Queensland's approach or initiative towards the digital education revolution was, or is, the National Secondary School Computer Fund. This included funding for ICT equipment and also a one-to-one laptop program. This program has been successfully achieved by 2011, where every student in the years 9 to 12 had access to a laptop. Part of the digital education revolution also created funding for teacher professional development and also funding for teacher training within pre-service programs. ICT is important and is specifically linked to the Australian Professional Standards for Teachers. So I see two main issues in perpetuating the digital divide. The main issue, one of the issues, is implementation issues. So the digital divide, let's be real clear here first, is that originally the digital divide a couple of decades ago was specifically about technological access. So it was all about students who had access to computers and students who didn't. And then after a while it became about students who had access to technological or had access to computers and the internet, and some did not. This presentation is more about what they, specifically the OECD, calls or has termed the second digital divide. And that's all about the actual level of technological use by students. So we've got students that vary between the basic consumption of digital media compared to those that are thinking at a higher level and advanced level of technological use. And those are the ones that are actually creating digital communication and participating in inquiry-based learning through digital means. So some of the issues that can be seen with the one-to-one laptop program is that although we got funding for one-to-one laptops, the problem was that schools still required students to pay some money. There was take-home charges, and that already sets up students that come from low SES backgrounds to probably not be able to afford computers. And I've seen that in my professional experience, that students that are very disadvantaged are doubly disadvantaged by not being able to take a laptop home. So the other problem with that is that to still have that one-to-one aspect of laptop access, what schools did was that they made sure that there was laptops at school. So if students couldn't afford to take them home, then they would still ensure that they could access laptops at school. The problem with that is that there was no personal individual ownership for these laptops anymore, and so in my experience I've seen a lot of damaged computers, and on top of that, because of the heavy blocks at Education Queensland and the networking issues, we often deal with prolonged login processes, and this just makes it difficult for teachers, and therefore they're reluctant to integrate laptops and ICTs in the classroom. So another issue with perpetuating the digital divide in classrooms is pedagogical issues. So the problem with this is that it reinforces the digital gap. So students who already are coming from a low SES background, they have less access to computers, and now we're on top of that giving them less access to computers at school. And obviously high SES students, they've already got, or some of them already have, advanced digital activity. They are part of social media. They when they are accessing computers at school and they are learning through ICTs, then that just increases their educational achievement and their social capital, which is great. However, that's now increasing and reinforcing the digital gap between the low SES and high SES students. So one of the things we really need to focus on as teachers is we need to create creative and critical thinking digital opportunities at school for low SES students and all students. So some of the main ways that teachers actually perpetuate this second digital divide is, the main reason that I see, and there's a lot of literature behind this, is the attitudes. So teachers' attitudes to ICT definitely influences their level of integration. It influences whether they even care about ICT. So there are still many teachers today that believe ICT is just a fad. They don't like it. They've done well so far teaching, so why should they change? Professional development that's provided at schools often varies, and it strengthens the actual digital divide between teachers. There's a distinct difference between teachers who are interested in learning new ICT integration and who see the positives and the benefits of ICT, and then the teachers that don't, they don't get anything out of their professional development. There's also, combined with all of this, is that there's literature that supports the sad fact that many low SES schools actually produce low expectations of students, and this is through teachers and communities and parents, and this just makes the issue much worse. So now not only are we not integrating ICTs, but we're also having low expectations of low SES students, so why make it harder for them? And that is a sad case of a social injustice in schools today. So the digital education revolution, it was a great vision. It's still a good idea, but the reality of it, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked as well as it should, and it's definitely not consistent throughout schools, because we can find schools that are doing a great job with integrating ICTs, and unfortunately we can find schools that are not. So the big thing is training future teachers, and that's where I'm at. Is part of my 4 years of learning has been about being inspired and wanting to act as a change agent to integrate ICT and to avoid perpetuating digital divides in schools. So one of the things, an argument about the training of future teachers, is that some teacher educators believe that they're under pressure to prepare innovative, high-quality teachers, and this is with less funding. So the funding is not consistent and is not there as it was 4 or 5 years ago. Professional development for teachers, it varies, and the attitudes result in a waste of PD. Some low SES schools struggle with low expectations of students. So this is reality. This is things that are happening right now in schools, and just increasing and perpetuating a digital divide. Another issue is that Education Queensland blocks much of the internet, and this makes ICT integration difficult. It makes teachers wonder why they should bother, and it really doesn't align itself well to the initial and the real goal of wanting to prepare our students for a digital marketplace. So, you know, as these things stand, and if they don't change, the digital divide is perpetuated and it continues. So this is what Queensland schools need, in my opinion. We need to actively promote social inclusion through whole school ICT integration. So we need excellent leadership with ICT vision, but that's not going to be enough. Just blaming it on leadership is not enough. We need to actually get teachers on board. A culture of change needs to happen, and part of that obviously is to employ change agent pre-service teachers, beginning teachers, and that's going to be their job to try and make change. I also think that teacher accountability is a must. In no other business would this occur. In a business environment, if you don't innovate, if you don't change, if you don't respond to customer changing needs, then why should you be rewarded? That just would not happen. So teachers need to be accountable, and I believe teachers need to change. Embrace ICT and ethics. So another thing is that I think that not only should we embrace ICT, but we should, along with that, teach ethics about digital use, and so that we can unblock the internet, and also implement BYOT, which is bring your own technology. You know, a lot of these kids today, they've got their own smartphones, iPads, computers, whatever. They should be bringing that in. They should be using that within classrooms. What would I do? Well, I would definitely integrate ICTs in every lesson. I would make sure that I would be linking ICT to real ways that students use ICT at home and out of school anytime. Think about what they're interested in. I would increase critical thinking and literacy skills together at the same time, and we would be continually evaluating digital information. I would encourage Web 2.0 tools and the use of that, and also I would find freeware as alternatives to not being able to afford expensive software or something like that. If funding is not there, then I need to make sure I know what the alternatives are. There's always an alternative. I would also incorporate gaming and programming, and this just is a fun way to teach, and it's also a way to improve problem-solving skills in students. I would increase ICT and literacy skills at the same time, and this would help allowing students to make meaning of cultural views, and this is all presented throughout media and digital participation of inquiry, creation, and interactions. I'd also share my digital devices, cameras, video recorders, ebook readers, etc. So what I can do in the classroom is I would definitely use Web 2.0 tools and social media where possible. I think it's ridiculous that we can't access Wikispaces, Twitter or Skype or YouTube or Facebook at school. And this is the reality of work today, is digital work within businesses and organizations today use things such as Wikispaces and Twitter. So what I would do in the classroom is I would find ways around that. So alternatives to block sites would be use of EduBlogs instead of WordPress. We would use the wiki that's within EduBlogs. I would screencast YouTube videos, etc. So I think it's also important to mention that I wouldn't just be, since I'm going in as a change agent, I wouldn't just be talking about how I can change and how I can be effective in class, but it would have to be also about what I can do in the school. So I would definitely advocate the benefits of bring your own technology. I would have to be a role model for teachers. I would invite teachers into my classroom. I would share my resources and create workshops, and also promote building a PLN through the use of Twitter, Facebook, blogs, etc. I would definitely create lunchtime or after school student organized computer programming groups. This promotes problem solving, critical thinking, community involvement, and friendship. So strengths of this, obviously, this can only increase opportunities in my classroom with ICT use, and this would avoid perpetuating the digital divide. It would increase student digital literacy skills. Weakness would be that I could burn out from the extra time required to be innovative and motivational to dealing with teachers' resistance to change. The negative attitudes towards ICT from teachers, especially social media, may result in colleague and parent disapproval, and this could be a big issue and could result in disillusionment, and I may give up teaching. Opportunities. My passion for ICT integration to close the digital divide may present new leadership opportunities in the school, community, or other organizations. So I use the action research cycle, and that helped me identify the what, why, and how. I found that personal reflection was important, and this helps improve my quality of teaching. I've learned that I'm passionate about increasing the social capital of low SES students, and I think integrating ICTs in all lessons is imperative. This avoids perpetuating and increasing the second digital divide, and it also helps prepare students for future work. I've also learned through practical experience and through this research that a major obstacle is teacher resistance to change, and this can actually become a major issue in terms of disillusionment, and because of the cultural negativity that some schools persist in.